So some new cards have been revealed and some very interesting ones of that. It is from the Mega Expansion Pack Nihil Zero? No idea, but it is the one that has the spoilers for Legend ZA 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 Mega Zygarde EX. And it is going to be the first one we're going to be looking at here. And it looks weird as hell. It has the Gaia Wave attack where it takes does 200 damage, but takes 30 less damage from attacks during your opponent's next turn. That is for 3 fighting energy. Charged up with a Lucario, but that's about it. There's not really other ways to get fighting energy in play in this format. Maybe there's going to be something else in this format to help charge this up. Maybe there will be, because it seems to be centered around Zygarde, so clearly there's going to be some sort of archetype. But then there has the Nihil, which is clearly what the pack's been named after, 0 attack for 5 Donnies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fighting energies. Redonkulous. For each of your opponent's Pokemon, flip a coin. If heads, this attack deals 150 damage to that Pokemon. If your opponent has 6 Pokemon in play, you flip 6 coins, and if for each heads, it does what? That is crazy. I understand why the coin flip exists, because that is a game-breaking attack if it wasn't nerfed by that flip a coin effect. I don't know how to feel about this attack. I think it's a bad attack because it's so costly and coin flip reliant, meaning 9 times out of 10, well, I'm saying 9 times out of 10 as a figure of speech, not literally, but you're going to be, hitting tails on Pokemon you want to hit and hitting heads on Pokemon you don't want to hit. And it's going to be a bit awkward, right? You don't want to have, or be in a position where you need a KO for game and you whiff that, right? So this can cause those situations to occur. And again, for such a high attack cost, although achievable, right? You can Lucario to it and have it sit on the bench with some EXP shares and late game, come up. But at that point, it's going to be a target. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I'll be real with you. I don't think it's good. I think the attack, though, is so random that I can't use my intuition to tell if that's going to be good or not. But if I was to wage a bet, I think it would be bad, personally. But one that's going to be fun, and that's what I'm looking forward to doing. If I can get a 6-head, 6-prize turn, that would take months to try and make happen, but I'll try and do it. Meowth EX. So interesting seeing a Meowth EX, of all things. But let's see what it does. Once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may search your deck for a supporter. What? Oh my god! It's Jirachi. It's Lumineon. It's Tapu Lele. It's back. Oh my god! Trump card though. What? Whoops! I played the wrong thing. Meant to play the sound effect. There we go. Jesus. Okay, what's its attack though? 60 for 3 and put it into your hands. Right. So the attack is probably some of the worst I think you could see in this kind of card. Lumineon had an attack that allowed it to shuffle back into the deck, and Tapu Lele had an attack that allowed you to... it was like 30 damage for each energy attached to both, so that was like a good backup attacker. This doesn't have that. So this is going to be a Pokemon you're throwing down, and it's just staying down. And odds are you're not going to be attacking with it. I think that's good. I think that's good because these cards are naturally very powerful because, just being able to grab a supporter card, turn an Ultra Ball into a supporter card has been proven time and time again in every format it's existed to be a staple. So I think this is going to be interesting. That's for sure. You could turn this into a boss's orders, right? We all know, we've all played Lumineon. For those who haven't know, this is a broken effect. Ay. All right, let's go to Mega Gallade, the partner to Mega Gardevoir. Let's see. Fighting 50 plus. If this Pokemon doesn't have any damage counters on it, it does 200. What's crazy is 200 is bad. It's bad nowadays. However, 350 HP. It's weak to Psychic. This is J, so this should be coming out after Gardevoir rotate. So if there's not a good Psychic deck at that point in time, because I can't think of anything else apart from like Alakazam, but Alakazam it's not a weakness thing. There is Slowking, which is a potential for sure, but there might be one I'm missing. Like that's very like a proper no-brainer. Mega Gardevoir itself could become a deck in of itself. Who knows, right? But point of the fact is, there doesn't seem to be any like really powerful Psychic Pokemon moving forward for when this comes out. So if this, with a Hero's Cape, if we're still keeping Hero's Cape by the time this comes out, if not, let's just say we can improve its HP by whatever means. If it can't be one it KO'd, you can obviously cycle it with Wally and stuff like that. You can Wally to it, heal it off completely, bring the energy back into hand, attach again, do a straight 200. It can be a tank card. So that's interesting. Marvelous Edge for 240 doesn't seem anything special. So your angle for this is going to be tank. And that is, whether this works or not, is super dependent, again, on the format. So I'm not impressed, though. 200 is very lackluster, in my opinion. You can obviously combine it with Monkey Dory and stuff, but yeah, we'll see. I'll explore it. Do I think it's going to be meta-defining? No. Barbarical. Okay, it has the Stone Arms ability. Once during your turn, you may attach one fighting energy from your hand to one of your fighting Pokemon? Oh, okay. So how do I feel about this? It brings me back to Frostmoth. Frostmoth being able to just, it was exclusively to bench Pokemon. This is anywhere, so it can be to the active. But Frostmoth allowed you to accelerate as much water energy as possible. And that saw some play here and there, but again, wasn't too great. How do I feel about this? I mean, obviously this is here. This is what I was talking about. This is here for the Zygarde archetype, right? Being able to accelerate to Zygarde better. There's obviously going to be some sort of Zygarde Lucario deck. Maybe at some point. Whether it gains traction or not is a different story. But it seems like it would be that because Zygarde is weak to Grass, Lucario is weak to Psychic, so there's going to be better type coverage in that kind of build. And maybe Barbarical is going to be a center point of that deck. You need a lot of energy though, right? Because you're going to be using the Lunatone and Solrock engine. You need a ton of energy in your deck to make this really work out. Or is it just going to be a straight up Zygarde deck? I don't think this is enough to just be Zygarde Barbarical. I don't think that's got enough staying power, I guess you could say, to really make that be its own thing. So Lucario is probably the way to go with it. But man, interesting ability. And here I am being corrected moments after saying that there's no fighting acceleration. I'm more curious as to what this could work with otherwise, right? What other fighting types there are. Barbarical Cornerstone. I think Cornerstone's staying. That's going to be... Okay, there's going to be some interesting stuff there. I'm curious to see where that goes. It's a good ability, though. Any form of acceleration for each type is always good. I think if you're going to have a format where one type can accelerate energy into play, you need to basically have all types be able to do the same thing to at least ensure that there's better balance, in my opinion. So more acceleration in play for more types, the better. I'm happy for that, especially as a rogue deck builder, right? Tarragon. Put up to 4 of any combination of fighting Pokemon and basic fighting energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. I was not in a way because I thought that was going to be from your deck. I thought it was going to be you're going to find it from your deck and then that makes sense. It combines with Barbarical. You know, you could just get 2 Barbaricals out, 2 energy, boom, boom, 2 energy in play. But discard pile is different. Is Blender in the format in the future? I don't know, but it's obviously Tulip for Psychic, and there's Psychic acceleration in this format. And even then, Tulip barely sees play in that. So, I don't know. I think we don't have Superior Energy Retrieval after this, but I know we have Retrieval, right? Or are we keeping Superior? Naveen. Draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. Before drawing, you may discard any number of cards from your hand. Obviously, I'm looking at also, this is all very ZA stuff, isn't it? How do I... Okay, so the biggest issue with draw until X amount of cards in your hand is the fact that you obviously have cards in your hand, right? And odds are you're not going to be drawing that many cards because of it. Here, you can discard your whole hand and just draw 5. But then aren't you just better off playing a Research? Isn't Research just better? The only use case scenario I can see this being better is if you have like 2 cards in hand and you need to keep them. And so you can discard the rest and draw 3. But at that point, are you better off playing Nimona? Or any other draw 3 card? It seems like the only situation this is a good supporter is if you play a deck that naturally has low hand size, but even then you're better off doing Research. Maybe, I don't know, it depends on how tight your resources are. Or if there's a specific niche scenario in which you have a hand of 5 and you want to keep one of them, so you discard 4 cards and draw 4, which, you know, draw 4 is very powerful, but yeah, that's such a niche scenario. I don't see this seeing any play, but you never know. In a deck that could utilize that effect to some degree, maybe. Lumiose City, the whole map, by the way, for Legends ZA, in a card. GG. Once during each player's turn, that player may search the deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto their bench. They have just reprinted Artisan, but if this is not a mistranslation... Oh, haha, I didn't read the end con. If a player uses this effect, their turn ends. I was going to say, because being able to just search for an EX is crazy. So, the end of a turn? God. The only end turn effects I've seen do well are ones that have such a strong effect it's worth doing. Think of Zacian V, right? Zacian V with its Intrepid Sword ability obviously allows you to draw free and accelerate to it at the end of a turn. Rotom V in like stall decks or any deck that has a decent turn one and can't really do anything else and just wants to draw. We already have turn ending effects in this format, like Koraidon EX, which is going to be rotating and in its whole time being played hasn't seen play. Even though it accelerates 2 energy into play, it's just not that good, right? It's as simple as that. And the format tempo doesn't allow for that. I don't think this is going to be great unless there's something that can take full advantage of it. I'm going to say that's a bit of a dud, mate. Bit of a dud. Special type energy. Oh, this brings me back to the, for some reason, I just like seeing a fighting special energy like looks like this always reminds me of a strong energy. I don't know if it's going to be that, but strong energy I have such a special place in my heart because that was the Buzzwole era. Obviously, I know it came out in X and Y, but like, and it's Landorus and all that, but for me, it was Buzzwole. Anyway, while attached to a fighting Pokemon, this card provides 1 fighting energy. Prevent all effects of attacks by your opponent's Pokemon done to the fighting Pokemon this card is attached to. I think that's okay. I think that's kind of fine, if you ask me. I don't think that's too bad. What effects are you preventing? You're preventing, obviously, Dragapult is one of the main things you're thinking about, right? It's by attack, so you're not losing, Monkey Dory is still getting you. Obviously, you prevent confusion from Monkey Dory, but that's not really a thing you get often. The main thing I'm thinking about is Dragapult in terms of preventing effects. So, giving your fighting Pokemon an option now to be able to deal with Dragapult is kind of nice. I can't lie. Especially with it being fighting type energy instead of like using a mist or something. So I think that's pretty cool. I think that's good. A bit underwhelming, but you can't have constantly powerful cards all the time, So that's that. Core memory. What? Oh my God. And we thought the TMs were going. Clearly not. This is one for Zygarde. Wasn't there a Zygarde, like Zygardian Z or something like that? Like a similar thing that Zygarde had before with Zygarde, was it EX? Oh no, GX? Was there a Zygarde GX that had a tool that gave it an... Is my brain okay? I think I'm remembering that right, but I don't know. Let's read. The Mega Zygarde EX this card is attached to can use as attack 4 fighting energy, Geobuster for 350 damage. That has to be the biggest attack I've ever seen on a card, right? Have I seen anything bigger? I mean, obviously we can hit bigger, right? We've seen bigger with Goldengo and all that jazz, but just pure text, 350. Wow. Okay. Well, that's going to be like a 1-of or a 2-of in a Zygarde deck. It's incredibly strong. 4 energy cost isn't as much of a reach now. When you got Barbarical, if you pair it with Lucario, that is not too unattainable. Discarding the energy, though. I mean, Zygarde's a basic, so you can throw Latios in that deck and have a retreat to follow up with, maybe on Lucario afterwards. But the fact that it discards all energy and it's not that easy to get 4 energy in play, this is going to be an attack that you're not going to be using every turn, but it's going to be an attack that you use mid-game, late game to like finish off or just take a massive KO somewhere. 350, I think there are some Pokemon that avoid that damage output and can avoid it if they wanted to, like the stage 2 Megas. So it's not fully there. You obviously do have Premium Power Pro. Got to remember that as well. Okay. Is this going to be a world beater? I don't know. It's looking pretty good. It's got a lot of support, but I don't know. Pokepad, we all know Pokepad, right? Search your deck for a Pokemon that doesn't have a raw box. Reveal it, put it to your hand. This is broken, by the way. It's just like, bro, it just gives single prizes something that 2 prizes don't have, and I've needed that for a while. What they need to do next is start boosting the HP of those single prize Pokemon, right? Single prize stage 2 should be up in the 200 HP threshold now if we have Mega Pokemon or even stage 2 prize Pokemon up in the 300 HP threshold. Just saying, power creep. We need to make sure we keep the single prizes up. It's one of the main reasons single prizes aren't doing good in the format. But that's another thing to think about. Wow, some pretty interesting cards, eh? Oh, the Meowth is a big one. There's a Zygarde archetype happening. An interesting draw supporter, an interesting special energy. Interesting. That's the word of the year. Apparently, I say that all the time. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below, and bye-bye.